for our school board meeting for Tuesday, July the 16th, 2019. At this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. David Buckles, and we will have invocation by Reverend Dan Phillips.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Superintendent Cernsey and ladies and gentlemen of the board, I appreciate the banner that is standing here. I wish it was here 2 months ago. When I came to do the prayer 2 months ago, I had the terrible time tying my tie. Now that sounds funny because I've been wearing a tie ever since I've had a driver's license. Tying it almost every Saturday morning, and if you ever knew my mom, you know why I wore a tie on Saturday morning. But that day, to come here 2 months ago, I could not tie my tie. And at the oncology lab at the VA in Gainesville, they told me that taking chemo treatments would cause me to forget some things. But you don't forget things you've done for 54 years. But I had trouble that day. Wow. The more I worked on it, the longer the big end of my tie got, and it got closer and closer to my knees, and I just decided I'm going without a tie. But it causes me to think now, we've had some wonderful people here in Putnam County. Yes. Frank Joyner, Bill Thomas, O.B. Hendricks, a teacher named Clarence Strickland, that followed the inspiration of this banner. And they did what they could to teach, to remind students, help them achieve so that they could graduate and not just be a number on the banner, but so they could be a productive, valued citizen of our community. So I hope as you continue to staff Putnam County, I hope you can find people like those folks that are ready to inspire their students to do the very best they can to remember what they've learned and to achieve to become successful citizens of our county. Yes. Let's pray. Father, guide these administrators, these teachers, this board. Help them, Father, to find those teachers, those administrators that would be the ones that would inspire our students not to be just a number, but to be successful citizens. Yes. To be those that would strive to achieve with others, to help others achieve, yes. To help others learn how to be successful, accomplished citizens of our county and of our city. Yes, God. So, Father, guide their deliberations today. Please, Father. Control this meeting. Speak to their hearts. Yes. Give them the compassion for each and every student in this district. Yes. And, Father, I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You may be seated. At this time, we have two presentations. We're going to start, well, before we do that, we do have one of our board members that is not with us today physically, but has requested the opportunity to be a part of this meeting via telephone. And so the board, what is your pleasure? Do I get a motion?
If you can, I make a motion that she participate as long as you can keep her quiet. No, I'm kidding. We let Jane, as we have in past with other people, I make a motion that we allow her to participate.
A second.
All right, it's been properly moved by Mr. David Buckles that we allow Mrs. Crawford to be in the meeting via phone, and second by Mrs. Holly Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposers, hearing none, motion carries 4-0.
I hope she can.
Whenever, do you want to contact her now or wait till after the presentation?
We'll wait till after the presentation, but she's officially in now.
Yeah, we have her available here whenever you want to call.
She's probably,
Okay.
oh, she can't be, it's in streaming live, is it, Rick?
Hey, Jay.
Okay, at this time, we will,
Well, she
we will
might be
have
watching.
recognition of Georgia Pacific as recipient of the Commissioner's Business Recognition Award for the Putnam County School District.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam
Stern.
Chair. This past June, had the opportunity to travel to Orlando, and I think I've been to Orlando like 10 times this summer and probably going back another 5 times before the summer's over. But I did go down one day and had a luncheon with the Commissioner of Education and representatives from most of our school districts as part of the Commissioner's Business Recognition Award. And the Putnam County School District was represented. I represented the school district, but we also asked one of our most active business partners to be represented there, and that would be Georgia Pacific, who's been very involved, especially recently, in helping to support the school district, in helping us get our advanced manufacturing, career and technical education program started. They gave us a very hefty gift to start up our program of $122,000. And with that, we were able to buy a lot of equipment that we needed to get that off the ground. Plus, Mr. Knutson, who I'm asked to come up front, also who works at GP, is actually helps volunteers our robotics teams. And he's been here before and had our high school teams do a demonstration for you. But I can't say enough of what Georgia Pacific and Mr. Knutson has done to really help the Putnam County School District as a partner to help move us ahead. We see these graduation rates. That's the result of our partnership with GP and many of our other business partners. So this is just a token of our gratitude. It says this award is presented to Georgia Pacific from the Putnam County School District for providing innovative learning opportunities in your community, enhancing Florida's education system. And that's signed by Richard Corcoran, our commissioner. So congratulations. Very good. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
And we as a board say ditto to what Dr. Cerency has already stated about Georgia Pacific and all of our other business partners. The things that we do and the successes that we experience, they could not happen without you and your support. So we too thank you. At this time, we will have the voices of Mosley, students from Mosley Elementary and the administration, along with the staff. Any of you that desire to come up, you deserve it.
All these people with these common shirts on, I think. So Sarah Jean McDaniel and your staff, if you would come and present, please. Okay, we're going to do a video first. Thank you.
Oh, okay. That'll work.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,008 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up in spite The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we would take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the air. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Here we go. Mosley Glen. There's no place like Mosley, man. Where teamwork is the Mosley plan. Now high five with a Mosley hand. And break it down, do your Mosley dance. I try hard. Give my best. I am smart. I am blessed. No place like Mosley, man. We believe that Mosley can. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I told him I was glad he had to say that because I couldn't have made it through there. We're here today to highlight an LSI conference we just did in June. And where's Porter? Come up here front. It's all about these kids at Mosley, and I hope that you see that. But Porter was able to join us today, and he is representing the students that they went to a national conference. It was in Orlando for LSI, and our kids' voices were heard through the nation. And we have people that spoke after and said it changed their lives. They heard from our kids that they do have this voice, and they're wonderful kids. While I compose myself, I'm going to let Porter talk a little bit and let you.
Well, my experience at the LSI conference was very, how should I say this, exciting, because I got to say my opinion on everything that was happening at Mosley instead of all the teachers coming up one by one saying their opinion on what they thought about everything. They wanted to hear our opinions on what was happening at our school, and that what was made it really special to all of the students that went.
Amazing, amazing. Y'all give them a round of applause.
It was an amazing opportunity. Mosley Elementary, we have been working with LSI for a couple of years, and I do want to thank everyone on the board, superintendent at the district for your support and helping to fund that, and really fighting for Mosley the whole time. We're on a journey, and it's not over yet. We were invited to a conference to just highlight the practices that are being done in Putnam County at Mosley Elementary School. And that's a big deal. There were 2,000 people there. We were represented by teachers, kids, and parents. Parents joined us also. And I was so proud, and you will be so proud of Putnam County Schools and Palatka and Mosley. It was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'm so proud that my family here was with me there. But I also have to say, we were invited there in April, and some of you may have heard that Mosley is a C school. I don't know if you know that, but but this is the first time we've all gotten together since then. The school grade came out after we were invited to this conference, which just solidifies that what we're doing is the right thing to do for children, no matter what the grade was. But that grade sure does make it a lot better. But we will continue to do what's right for kids and continue on this journey. And I'm so excited to see what this next year is going to bring for the staff and for the students at Mosley. And I just have to thank everyone in this room, the community, the board, but especially our students and our staff at Mosley, because there is no place like Mosley, man, and they are great. Thank you.
I will say something. I'll say a little something. I mean, she said it all, but I'm just proud of everybody. It's just amazing. This gentleman came up, and, you know, he offered a prayer, and that's what it takes. That's just how I feel, you know, and I really appreciate you doing that. But that's what it takes. And everybody here had the same mindset. We are really family. This is not a put on.
Hey,
I love them. I love everybody here. These hardest working people I know. Hardest working people. I'll go to bat for them anytime. So I'm just so proud of everybody, and I'm glad that we've had support from the district and the community. It's been great. It's been great.
Well, I will say.
Yep, go ahead, Dave.
I'd just like to say that it's unfortunate that the state puts us in these situations, because there is no better group of people than what you see standing here that works and that loves and works with our kids. Absolutely. And just because of the grading system that's been put in place in the state of Florida, they make it where you're almost trapped. And I know how it works. I've been there. All of us in education have seen it. And it's almost like you can't dig out, but you guys didn't quit digging. You dug in and dug out. And I tell you, you look back, it'd be nice if we were a B or an A, but being a C is like coming light years from where they've been stuck in this hole. And I think you're going to do better. Oh, yeah. If Sarah Jean quit crying. So.
David, let me just say, I credit, of course, Sarah Jean and Tony for their leadership and all these teachers and students. But I will say that Sarah Jean, you know, deserves so much credit as the leader of this school, because she had a good thing going at James A. Long. And I mean, she had it going on there. Many of these teachers were there, and our staff got together and we encouraged her to come to Mosley. You want to call it that? But you know what? It was less than 24 hours, and her and Tony already had a plan in place, and they hit the ground running. And I just can't say enough about them and what they've done. These teachers have done so much. You walk in that school, and you just know there's so much love going on, and it's all about those kids. So they're going to do even better things next year, I'll guarantee you.
It's my alma mater. When I was in elementary school, I was in Mosley, so that's how it goes.
But I will say, while we're talking about school grades, just in case you didn't hear, we had 11 schools in DA, just like Mosley. And about 2 years ago. Last year, we were able to get 8 of those schools off. And this year, Mosley, Brownie Pierce, and Kelly Smith were the last 3. So we no longer have schools in turnaround this year. So. And what started LSI, again, those have been valuable partners, and what they have helped us do at Mosley, we're going to help replicate across our district, and have already started doing that. So you'll see.
When you get national recognition,
Yep.
you're doing something right. And
Absolutely.
And we've talked about that in past board meetings, and you guys have a lot to be proud of. And if you don't get teary-eyed when you've worked as hard as you have and come to where you've come, you're in the wrong business. So.
Yeah, and we do have 2 members of our LSI team join us today, Dr. Perry and Elizabeth Zonka. They're here, and they
Would
are
y'all like to
just
say
as much
anything at
part of
all?
our team.
Anything, Patty? Would y'all like to say anything at all while you're?
This isn't really about LSI, it's about the hard work these people did. It doesn't really matter what we talk about or what our research is about, or how often we're there or how often we're not. Unless folks are really willing to do what's right by kids, and it's really tough.
Yeah, and the bottom line is this: if you all were not genuine, Porter and those other kids would have seen through you. And so they take on your attitude, and you believed, and they couldn't help but believe. And so we give you 2 thumbs up for a great job, and we will support you and continue to support you. If support means staying out of your hair, letting you do what you need to do, we'll do it. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate, the kids presented at a national conference. LSI has been putting on a national conference for quite some time. They've never invited a group of students, ever.
Wow.
And of all the
First.
schools, you may not know because you didn't go, our CEO gives a keynote speech. And in the keynote speech, he highlights schools that he's worked with. But every year he picks one school in the entire nation that he features. And this year was Mosley.
And one last thing, I do want to mention the students. I know it's summertime and they're not really thinking about school right now, and they're off on vacations, but I do want to say their names. Jocelyn Harper, Eli Campbell, Dorian Appling, Porter Barker, who is with us, Kamarian Fulton, and Solace Alford, and they represented Putnam County amazing.
Yep.
Thank you.
And by the way, last week at the Summer Leadership Conference, NEFAC Summer Leadership Conference at Sawgrass, Mosley presented the, what do you call it, the Men of Mosley.
Men of Mosley,
Men of
yes.
Can you just briefly tell us what the who the Men of Mosley are and what they do?
Yeah, Men of Mosley is a mentor group that we've partnered with the Florida Highway Patrol, and we have about 7 highway patrolmen that have invested into our students. It's a mix of boys, 4th and 5th grade, and we wanted students that really needed mentors, but we also wanted model students to give them the peer mentor. And we had 12 boys that were in this group, and the opportunities that were afforded to these students have been wonderful. And I think one thing that I said is we teach our students to think outside the box, and we want to give those opportunities to our students, but sometimes we as adults don't do that, and we only look in our community, which is great, but who would have thought that we could get these men to drive from Jacksonville and come and just bridge that gap between these male figures and these boys. And I'm very excited that 2 other law enforcement officers, females from Duval County, are going to start a Women of Mosley group next year.
Cool.
And we have 5 girls that we have targeted for that. And we really want to pour into these girls. They're so smart and so capable, and we want them to seek the right attention as they grow. And those are 5 girls that we have chosen, and I look forward to that.
Yep, very good. One more thing I want to mention. I don't see Tanya Miles here. Is she here?
She is not here today.
I know where she is. She's in Orlando, and actually I'm going down there once again to Orlando, and going to be joining her for the State Teacher of the Year Gala, if you will. And she, along with all the other 66 teachers being honored, will be recognized at that time. So Tanya Miles is our District Teacher of the Year from Mosley, and we'll recognize her.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Madam Chair, you want to join us?
Don't mind if I do, sir.
Y'all watch out for Asia Akins. I'm kind of worried about her. Just throw it away.
Like she's blocking the boat or something.
What a great group of people. Mr. Benford, it's like herding cats. You can do it.
No.
You can do it.
I saw you running. I'm like,
Exactly the same,
Yeah.
89 and 110%.
All right.
Wow.
I've known Sarah Jane since she was born.
Okay, while we're settling in, do we have any wishing or desiring to address the board with public comments? None? Okay.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Let Sandy check her in. Jane's fixed to be on.
Hello? Hey. Well, we're just, the board voted to include you if you're available, and we're about to get into the consent agenda. So
If she's not able, that's fine.
if you can't, you can't. We just want to make sure you have the opportunity. So, okay. Okay. I'll tell them. Thank you, bye. She's not going to be able to.
Okay, that's okay.
I won't have to hear her say she saw me roll my eyes.
Okay, at this time, we're ready for our consent agenda. We will start with you, Mrs. Pickens.
I don't have anything to pull.
Okay, Mr. Buckles?
E4,
Well, wait a minute.
insurance. E4.
E4. Okay, Mrs. McInnes?
was pulled.
All right, that was the one. And I don't have any, mine were taken care of on yesterday. Okay,
Okay,
all right, I'm sorry, we did not.
need to go ahead and
All right,
get a motion on the consent
yes.
agenda minus E4. I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda minus E4.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Buckles that we accept the consent agenda minus E4, and it was seconded by Mr. Bud McInnes. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposers here, none. Motion carries 4-0.
I had a,
Before you get started.
Okay,
if you
yes,
don't mind,
Charlie.
Mr. Buckles, I just wanted to let the board know I'll be recusing myself from the subject matter related to E4.
Okay,
okay.
all right.
I would like to find out a few questions. I've had some comments back in two. My biggest question is, I mean, I'm good with going out to bid. It's the, I'm really curious where we stand with the Avail program and where we're going to proceed in that direction, or if what we're going to do exactly. I have heard that we had different ideas of going out individually and working with that or putting it in the insurance proposal. And I'd like to hear from Paul Smith about what he has had conversation about with the president of Putnam Federation of Teachers, Mark Modell, and some of the things. Paul, if you'd come up and talk to me a minute. I think it's a wonderful thing, and the timing is right, and the committee all agreed to go out to bid, but I'm concerned where we've gone and where we've come with Avail, and what's going to happen if we don't have that somehow worked into this process.
Well, there was a good bit of discussion about the Avail program at the July meeting, and there was some questions on whether it could be included in the bid because of a sole source issue and it being bid out in that regard. I don't really, that's beyond me as far as that procedure there. But we did talk about it, and there was I truly don't know what the issue was. Ms. Granton, she was talking about the sole source issue, so it may be better a question for her to address.
We can talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to know, Mark Modell had similar concerns as well?
No, well, as far as the procedure, no. There was a contingency of folks that were interested in keeping Mr. Albritton and the Avail group, and there was some, like I say, I don't think nobody voiced any not retaining the services. It was a procedural issue, but there was 3 or 4 that were, or 2 or 3 that were very interested in keeping the services.
Okay.
There have been some pretty good gains. There have been some great gains in the trend. We went from a 16% trend factor to a -4 in the course of 3 years. So, there have been some gains. As I understand it, what they say, the MLRs they lag behind the trend, so we won't really see that effect until a later date. But there have been some gains as far as our rating, our what we have as far as the loss ratio.
And Paul, the understanding I have is that if this continues in this trend, it doesn't necessarily mean we go out for bid, but it helps in the renewal rates significantly. And I'm probably going to call Mr. Albritton to come up and explain some things.
It very well could, and Joe could speak to that way better than I can.
Rick, is it all right if I call Joe up? Joe, would you? Thank you, Paul, so much. I'm kind of catching up on this because I didn't attend the insurance meeting. I think Holly's doing all that, but I kind of rehash where we've been and where we've come and where we're headed and how it can benefit us, Joe.
So the premium is a function of 2 things. You have your medical loss ratio, which in layman's terms is your actual claims that you've experienced compared to your premium. So that's your historic expenses. And then the balance of the premium comes from the expected cost. That's the medical trend. So when you hear terminology of MLR, that's your actual expenses that you've had in the past. And then when you hear the phrase medical trend, that is the projection of where your costs are going to be in the coming year. So when an insurance company calculates premiums, whether it's a renewal or in a bid scenario, they consider those 2 factors. Historically, when I first came in, I've been working with you guys about 18 months. When I started, your trend factor was a 28.8. So what that meant was, if you spent $100 on medical claims in the previous year, they're expecting you to spend $128 in the coming year. So that's the 28. After the first year, that 28.8 dropped to 16.8. The 16.8 is now a -4. So what that means is, if you spent $100, they're expecting you to spend $96 in the coming year. So that's a pretty significant turnaround. I work with several groups through different capacities, and that's one of the more impressive ones I've seen. It's really, you're definitely going in the right direction. To be able to put that in through like a litmus test, for lack of a better term, to see what it really means, what you want to look at is you can compare things like, you hear a lot of times, how's the wellness program working? Is it really working? Is it saving us money? How do we know if it's working or not? There's different measures you can look at to get a strong indicator of that. One would be your pharmaceutical utilization. When I first started, your top 10 drug utilization was a certain category. You had a lot of acute treatment medications. What you want to see when the wellness program is working correctly is you want to see more and more preventative treatments. So in other words, people are now going to the doctor and they're on cholesterol medicine, and that prevents the heart attack. Well, you want to see something like that in your drug profiles. So we look at a lot of different information to see how that works. When a trend factor is in a good position like you're in right now with a -4, keep in mind that's the projection of the coming year's cost. So you won't actually see that impact until the end of the coming year. So if you're at a -4 like you are now, you're spending $100 right now. You won't know until December of 2020 if it really was $96. And what did you do to accomplish that? How can you continue down that trend? That's how the program that the school district is on right now is performing. It went from a 28, which in all honesty is not good, to a -4, which is superb. Other factors, other things that we're looking at, there's a lot of information. You've seen a lot of the data that we look at. It's a tremendous amount of data. There's a lot of other things that are very positive. The utilization in the wellness programs. The drug profile is positive now, where you're starting to see more utilization of your preventative medications than you did before. You can see the movement from year to year, and that's what you track. So that's...
And as far as, I guess we have been encompassing the AVAIL program in with United Healthcare on the, that's how you've been being paid for, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and there are other avenues that the district could work out with you as a single source or sole source person to hire you, or does it have to go through an insurance bid?
Well, really, one of the things we really strive for is to give the context and control back to the board. So we want to put you in the position where you do it the way you want.
Somebody's going to have to pay
Right.
for it. I mean, it's
No,
either-
I'm saying that because you I don't know if you did it intentionally, but you threw out 3 different ways to contract with AVAIL in that one sentence.
I did.
Okay, so, we do have clients with direct contracts with us. We have clients where we are paid through brokers, and we have clients that we are paid by insurance companies. We are not afraid of going through a public bid. One of our biggest things that we push so hard for, and people that's been in the insurance committee have seen this, is we really, really push for transparency. We want all the data. We want all the information so we can make the best decisions. We are not at all afraid of going through a public bid.
I have not had a chance to speak privately with the superintendent about this, but I do know Sandy would keep us on track of what needs to be done and done correctly. And in the essence of the fairness in the bid process, it would be probably better, Rick, if we looked at trying to find a way to either bid or hire. I think you would have to bid, wouldn't you, Sandy?
And Sandy, can you come up, Sandy? Because I want to explain. I believe the way we're bidding that, proposing that, Mr. Buckles.
Okay, I don't
Is-
know how you're proposing this.
Well, and she can explain with and without Avail services. So can you explain that, Sandy?
In our bid, we're going to have alternate proposals. We're going to have wellness as an alternate. We're going to have the services Avail provides us. So if a company comes in and they can match those services, they can bid just that one item.
Okay.
And we're going to include group health and dental on this RFP.
You know, I'm to the point that, you know, Medicare and things like that can take care of me. I worry about the renewal rates in the future for our younger employees that I saw standing up here a while ago, and would like to find a way to continue to utilize what Joe has done, but I just don't know how the rest of the board feels, and I don't know how the correct way to do it is. I know Joe has several options that they could go through, but I would like to urge the board to consider finding a way to put this out, you know, and let a contract so we can try to either retain Avail or have somebody that does exactly what they do come in and take over. So, Rick, did you have any recommendations on what to do there, or?
Well, I asked the insurance committee. Well, the insurance committee I know is met with Mr. Albritton, and the main thing that our office is looking at is, you know, what kind of return on investment
Right.
over the last 18 months.
Right.
Just so that when we're looking at spending
100 grand. Yeah.
right that amount of money, we want to make sure that, you know, that we are getting the bang for our buck. Now, I understand too that in the past, UHC, I believe, has covered your cost, but we are looking at, under this new plan, that this will be a cost that we would take on, incur with the district. So
Well, I said somebody's going to have to pay for it.
right. So I just want to make sure the board, whatever you decide, when these, you know, if you decide to bid, that you realize what you're getting for the cost of Mr. Albritton's services. And I'm glad he came, because I want him to be able to explain to you, you know, what their services are and what kind of return we're getting on that.
Now, I know I'm dominating the conversation. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Albritton?
Holly was
I
on
just,
the representative from the board.
The way I understood it was that we were writing a bid
I have.
that other companies could avail themselves of Avail.
Right.
That
We have a description of exactly what services he provides, and that is inserted in the bid.
And so, could the same company bid with and without?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. It's up to the evaluation committee on what they actually accept.
Let me ask you this, Sandy. It's up to the board to decide, do we want to maintain the Avail services or a similar service by putting it out to bid? That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my question here is, you know, obviously we're going to have a vote here in a little bit to go out to bid for insurance services, but I would like to. I know Rhonda's not here, but she's smart as they come too. So, you know, money's money, and somebody's got to pay it, and it looks like it would come out of our pocket instead of collectively out of the employee's pocket. But I think it's something that if the return on investment is, as Mark Modell has communicated, that I've seen his communication and the way I know Paul has put his whole career in the insurance committee, I feel very strongly that the renewal rates could save us $1 million down the road, you know. But I guess what I'm asking here is, it's not on here to put the Avail or those services out to bid, is it? It's not on this board agenda?
It
The
was
agenda states
insurance.
approval to go out for bid for health insurance for
And
2020.
I have included all those services in a rough draft.
Okay, I haven't seen that, but
I have it here if everyone would like a copy of it,
I'd like a copy.
with a timetable. There you go. This is a very, very rough draft. What's in the yellow will be taken out. But in order to have something for you now, I had to do it in that form. I will have more information from United on the narratives, and we will have it probably prepped and ready, depending on the vote.
All right, but this would, yeah, okay. But this would be a separate bid from the insurance bid.
It's included right now.
It's included right now.
Yes, right now I've got a narrative.
Well, here's my question. Does the board, well, this is pretty quick. Does the board, and it's not quick at the same time, I should have been on top of this. Does the board want to include this in the insurance bid, or does the board want to make it a separate bid?
Now, my thinking is, the insurance committee met, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And those people that are representing the employees on that committee voted to approve to go out for bid for health insurance for 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I correct? That was the committee's decision?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
But I believe if we vote to go out for bid, we're not voting on avail or no avail.
Right.
The insurance companies themselves make, and if in the case that someone would not include avail and we as a board wanted their services, because frankly, you don't want to go
Right.
backwards
Right.
now. And I believe it was my understanding that a lot of the drive of was due to some of the programs that not only United put in, but also Joe, and gave us data as to whether they were working or not. So if you don't have someone doing that, then I have a concern.
I do too.
Right.
If there is no response, or if we are not satisfied after it's been evaluated, we can take it out separately. But first,
I
give it
just
a
want to,
chance.
I want to know that, so you think we ought to put it out like it is now with those services being on included in the insurance bid?
Yes, sir, and then if it's,
And we wait to hear from those that bid.
right,
And
there might
if
be a company out there that has their own
There
Avail
might be.
company.
There might be.
that can match what we're getting, or if not, certainly we go,
Yes.
okay.
I just feel like we've ridden this horse into town and we ought to ride it out of town, but I'm concerned of where we might go with this. I'm not concerned about putting it out to bid. I'm just concerned about, and there could be somebody that outshines Joe. I mean, I don't know that. But Joe, is there anything else you'd like to add? Sandy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That you can tell us. I mean, I guess I'm concerned how this is going to shake out down the road, and I don't know how many other people actually do what you do.
Well, one way to find out is to do what you're doing.
Put it out for bid.
The people that I work with, the insurance companies, and I work with Florida Blue, I work with Aetna, and I work with United.
Okay.
All tell me that we are the only people that do it. The problem that I would be concerned about is how you describe the services. It's gonna be very important that you describe the services in a way that whoever's responding knows what you're really asking for. But as far as, going out to bid, I gave a presentation last year explaining why I thought it was a bad idea to go out to bid last year, and I stand by that. This year, I feel like you're in a neutral position. I don't think it's going to hurt you to go out to bid and find out what's out there. I think next year, if you continue going the way you're going, I think next year you'll actually be in a position of strength. So I'm not, there's no sign or indication. I told Dr. Cerncy this. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't go out to bid. I don't see any, there's no red flags for me.
Right.
And as far as me being included, my personal opinion, and take that for what it's worth, I like the fact that I'm included because a carrier might be willing to pay for it again.
Okay.
This gives them the opportunity to say, hey, because I know in other groups, it's not just United that pays for me. Other carriers pay for my services for other groups. This gives the carriers the opportunity to say, yeah, we'll do that again. And if they don't, you can always take me out to bid separately. I like the protection it gives the board. I like the flexibility it gives the board to be able to ask the carriers, will you include this? I like that because it gives you the position. A carrier cannot respond to this. Carriers cannot audit themselves. I mean, if you think of me as an auditor, a carrier can't respond. What I like about it is it gives the carrier the opportunity to say, we'll pay for it though. My agreement with United plainly states that I work at the sole discretion of Putnam Schools. United doesn't tell me what to do. You guys tell me what to do. The way it's structured, from what I understand, and I haven't talked with Sam, I would be happy to talk with her. The way it's structured is it gives the carrier the opportunity, all of them, to step up and say, yeah, we'll pay for that. And if they say no, okay, then let's do a sole source. Let's do a, whatever we do.
That's fine with me. That'd be up
That's
to
my
the majority
opinion.
of the board to decide if we wanted to do that.
All right.
Thank you so
I like
much.
the context
Thank
and
you.
control piece.
Thank you, Joe. Hey,
Madam
We
Chair,
appreciate your help.
Madam Chair, could I ask Mr. Bowen to come up and
Yeah, I
provide
was
some
gonna call
additional
him. I said-
comments that might be helpful?
Thomas gets stuck with all the
All the fun
details.
stuff?
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, I really agree with Joe's last comments about the board having an opportunity to make a decision. And Rhonda Odom isn't here tonight, but she's on the insurance committee, and so am I. And the concern that we have more than anything is we were just, by the skin of our teeth, able to give 3% raises across the district. And how often in the past, back in the good old days when we got raises, did you hear someone say, well, we got a raise, but they took it back in insurance?
Give it one hand and take it back the other.
Right. So the only way to offset that is to raise the board contribution. The only problem with that is we need to figure out a way to pay for the raises without going back into a declining fund balance. That's what the superintendent was a platform that he stood on. We're committed to making that happen. So, and there have been some other stumbling blocks along the way. In the past, when Joe first showed up, United Healthcare was covering his cost, and so it was a no-brainer. But that contract will sunset December 31st, and then we will have to take over the cost of his services. So, we just said let's proceed with caution, make sure we bid appropriately, and I think legally we have to do it anyway. Just our own bidding rules say that when you have a high dollar amount like that, you have to bid them out separately. But if another insurance provider can take on those services or not, or you can make an informed decision whether or not you want to keep it. But just realize that the consumer, which is the employees, the ones that stood up here, are the ones who will absorb that cost unless another insurance company decides to take it on. And you're probably talking about higher rates.
Well, even if-
And we're trying, the whole bidding process is hopefully to avoid the higher rates. So, it's just information. We call it, shopping it out for a reason. It's not something that you do all the time or take lightly by any stretch of the imagination, but you just need all the information that's available to you.
Money
Yes,
has
sir.
to come from somewhere. Okay.
All right.
Any more questions, Sandy? You can ask them around.
No, we're good. We're ready for
All
you
right,
to make the
I'd like to make a motion that we accept E4
sending the insurance out for bid.
And the insurance alphabet.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Buckles that we accept item E4 on the agenda, and second by Mrs. Holly Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. Okay, and again, we do thank all of you for your information and input to help us to better understand where we are and what we're doing. Okay? At this time, we will now move out of the regular session into emergency session, and we do have one item. 2019-2020 personnel allocations, change number 3.44 to 3.50, justification, explanation, time sensitive.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we approve the emergency personnel allocation.
I second.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Buckles that we accept the emergency item on personnel allocations, and second by Mrs. Holly Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. We are now back in our regular session. Okay, and we have our discussion, unfinished business, the input on celebration for employees that have been employed here in this district for all 20 years, 20-plus years, and I don't see...
Ms. Whitehurst is
Mrs.
not here.
Whitehurst.
but
Okay.
She has some information for you.
Okay.
I believe that's the list that you requested
Yes, sir.
of 20-plus years of employees who have served that amount of time in our district.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Okay. Now that we have this information before us, remember at our last meeting, not the last meeting, but the last time that we discussed this particular item, we talked about moving it from trying to hurriedly put it in at the end of last school term and looked at placing it at the beginning of this school year, possibly during pre-planning, so that employees would be able to attend and wouldn't have to worry about leaving their classroom unmanned or whatever job it is that they hold in the district. And so we are now open for discussion.
You've got 343 employees there.
Okay. And when you think of dollars, you might say, wow, that's a whole lot if we're talking about spending, but, you know, it's worth it. If we're gonna keep getting the Mosley scenarios, we have to show people that we appreciate them. And so I guess we would have to meet with Ms. Shannon and Mrs. Odom and talk about.
Well, if you could give us some kind of idea going forward, we would be happy to discuss that and, you know, do whatever you would like, but there is going to be a cost incurred there. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
think-
we know
yeah,
that,
right.
yeah, seeing this.
And time-wise, you know, just think of the amount of time
Yes.
you need as far as planning goes. But if you would like us to come back with something or work on something, we would do whatever you would like
Okay.
as far as gathering
I'd
information.
like for us to walk away from this meeting. Yes, Mrs. Whitehurst has done an excellent job giving us this, but like now, I would like for us to think about a committee to talk about date, place, at least have that in line so that they could meet, and at our first meeting in August, yes, in August, we could possibly come back with something solidified there, not necessarily the cost that we would, you know, encounter because of.
So would you like maybe appoint one of your board members to join one of our staff?
Okay,
And
I'd like for one to volunteer, and that way I'll know they want to do it.
I think Jane Crawford's not here. She would probably be a very good one.
that's what you get for not being here, right, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really, we've never done this before, and I don't know how you're going to recognize 200 or 300 people with, you know, without. We used to do the district wide thing and have 1,000, 1,500 employees,
Yeah.
there at one time, and that just got out of control, and it cost so much money to do that.
But
But, I mean, it was nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Not everybody wanted to go, but, it's just, I don't think the district, I'm not as big on this as everybody else might be, so I'll do what the group wants to do. I really, I don't want to volunteer, though.
Okay,
to do
and
this.
were you at the meeting when I showed you the pen that you gave me?
I did.
After my years of service?
I did.
And how I still have it?
Well, those are nice,
You know.
but if you're going to put everybody together,
It could possibly be a nice certificate. I mean, we have programs now that could generate beautiful certificates, and then the cost would be the jacket cover, but certainly bringing them someplace and presenting them and saying thank you.
those are,
That's all.
that's not
Juilliard,
really expensive.
I've been kind of working an idea through in my head,
Okay,
and
thank you.
I'm wondering if this might be easier and maybe even have more effect if we did it during pre-planning. I know that's kind of rushed, but, and we as individual, or, maybe the whole board could attend. I haven't worked the logistics of it out yet, but, so you go to Middleton Burney Elementary, and, I at least, I glanced through, I at least saw 5 names on here. And so you get with Mr. Simons and you set, when they're going to have a meeting, and usually that first day is full of meetings, and so you could just come in and then you're presenting it in front of their faculty. Yeah, they'll have mention, as a group in the Palatka Daily News and on the school website and on the district website, but I think that makes it a lot easier. Now, I know you were thinking about a breakfast or a lunch.
But
maybe
I'm listening. This sounds
maybe in this
good.
first
Okay.
year, we present, if we did it in areas, but really, it doesn't have to take that long. If there were 10 people, you just get in front of their faculty, and then, we all get in that nice van Bud drove, and we go to Miller, and then we go to Crescent City. That takes, and maybe it takes us 2 days to get through all the schools, but I think it shows us as a board or board member, whoever could attend, that, we're thanking those people, and it's not as big of a planning situation. And if it goes over really well, then, we continue to do it like that, or we do
grow
it
it.
in one big,
Are we going to
And
do
we can
charter
grow it.
schools sites as well? I mean, I just don't know.
We're doing the ones that are listed on
Just the
here.
ones that are listed.
I mean, if they're listed,
They're charter
then
schools.
And I
I
think,
like the idea, Holly.
and I like the idea because, and this is your decision, but the fact is, you're not requiring those people to drive and go
Right, we're
somewhere.
going to
And when you go to them,
Yeah.
you're saving a lot of time, money, and these people are very busy this time of year too. So I think that's a wonderful idea.
That's fine.
Okay,
Especially
thank
the
you.
logistics of the county,
Appreciate
you
that.
could do,
Okay,
area by area.
all right.
So I don't mind at all, Ms. Gilliard, to be on the committee.
And I'll work with you, Holly. And were you going to appoint someone or ask for a volunteer?
I will,
Because Mrs. Whitehurst will be she will be recognized herself
yeah.
here.
Yeah, we will make sure one of our staff is on your committee.
Okay, could we go ahead and set a date when we want to meet? Because when we come back to the August meeting, we want to make sure that we let all of the principals know that we will be coming, we'll get it scheduled with them. We want to do it decent and in order. But, and then we'll get with someone on your staff, management, or someone down here at the county office to possibly do us a certificate that we could present them.
Not a big deal, right?
You would just about have to go during pre-planning from school to school and cover 5 or 6 in a day.
Well, it could be
I
done.
mean,
Like, we
it can
could
be
cover West,
done, but
South
are you
Putnam.
going
Yeah.
to bring everybody in for a faculty meeting and do it in front of them, or just bring the 4 or 5 people up and let's give them the?
No.
I was
She
thinking
said in
faculty
front of
meeting,
them.
team meeting.
Because they, during pre-planning, their meetings here, there, I mean, you know, they're,
I get it, I just think about, and you were principal too, how bad my people really didn't want to come up and hear a meeting, but I'm not against it. I think it's okay if that's what we want to do.
That first day is all meetings anyway.
anyway, that's what I'm saying. And to start off their year like that, being appreciated,
I'm good, I'm just a bad younger brother of two older sisters.
blame it on everybody else, David.
Ms. Gilliard, we have a budget briefing on the 23rd of July at 2. We could meet before that or after that?
Okay.
That's not a good day. We do it on the 24th.
I
Oh,
will
you're,
still be in New Jersey,
okay.
but I haven't.
Budget meeting.
Mr. Crawford leaves all the time.
Okay, then on the 29th, we have the budget at 5:05.
I'll
We
be,
could
I'll
do
be
it
back.
before
I'll be
then.
back, the 29th.
If the district
Is-
person,
is-
So
the
just tell me what
29th.
time you're meeting and
what do you,
the committee.
You said it, since you were the one, I mean, the idea is great, and I support it. So I'm gonna be here, the 29th, not the
do you want
23rd.
to, let's say 3:30, that gives us an hour and a
3:30,
half.
okay?
On the
3:30
29th.
on the 29th.
And you want to meet in the conference room?
That'd be great.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, we'll
And-
have
and-
somebody there.
And I do appreciate this.
Is that Holly? Who's on the committee, Holly?
And Mrs. Whitehurst, if you will let her know how much
Can
we
Ms.
appreciate
Gilliard and I
this.
both be on?
You'd have
Or
to
is that-
advertise
She
it.
could,
Gotta advertise
she could,
it.
all right, no, you go ahead and serve, and
Okay.
you can keep me posted.
Okay.
All right.
I still think we ought to put Jane on there.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you so much.
Holly.
And the idea is
It's a
great.
great idea.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
I know it would make me work harder the next year, you know, kicking
Oh,
it.
I have one other question. So are we going to award them in years? Or are we going to go, so we're going to do a certificate so it can say the exact amount of years? It doesn't have to be
can.
20, 25?
It can, because you know how they
Okay.
run it through that, what do they call it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Merging,
Yeah.
you know, and you put
That's not a
the
problem.
years in, let them fall in the slot. But anyway, yes. So that'll be great.
Okay.
Thank you again. And I'm smiling because I'm happy. All right.
Love my Sandy Gilliard.
All righty. Thank you again, and Mr. Superintendent, thank
Glad
you
to.
for
Glad to
for
help.
that. All right, discussion for new business, consensus to advertise amendment to policy number 7450.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we advertise.
No, he's gonna do the roll call.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well, let Charlie do
Yes.
the roll call.
Was there a second?
I'll second.
All right,
Okay. Yeah.
so it's been moved and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're ready for the roll call.
District 1,
Advertise.
District 2,
Advertise.
District 3,
Advertise.
District 4,
Advertise.
District 5.
Okay. At this time, we are ready for our reports from the board members, and then our attorney, we're going to start on my right with Mr. McInnes.
Okay. I had the opportunity to attend General Education Diploma Commencement at St. John's River State College. I recognized one student there, and he hooked up with me afterwards. It was a former student, and he graduated early, so I was glad to see that. He got his GED, and also asked to speak at My Florida, My Future. It's like I guess it was a day camp kind of thing at IES, and I was right behind the fire chief, and just gave him a little bit about everything that you do and how everything is kind of connected when you get older, and if you found your dream, and it'll all work out. I had them very attentive. Also, I had the chance to attend the Board of County Commissioner meeting where Chris Doolin presented a commemoration gratitude for the Rural Days, and that was presented to Bobby Payne and the board, and the Rotary was mentioned as well. And I just want to extend well wishes and good support to the people that are attending summer enrichment camp and the young students that have to take the end of course test that's coming up, all the ones.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Buckles?
I wanted to kind of, I didn't get a chance to talk to the superintendent. Miss Pickens had him hold up today, and that's good. She needs to, she first come, first serve. I did intercept or get contacted, I say intercept, contacted by social media last night about a homeless family in West Putnam, and fortunately, by the time I got the message, personnel at Interlochen Elementary School had made arrangements to find, there was a family with 5 kids living in a tent way out in the woods, and which, you know, for us, it's not surprising. I mean, we find kids out in the woods all the time with no electricity, no nothing. And I say all the time, it's not uncommon, let's put it that way. So I just wanted to let the board members know that we've got, and these are our students, you know, the school staff saw it and recognized the family as who they were, and they've made arrangements. Ricky Bybee and different ones have communicated trying to find places for them to stay. But anyway, our homeless program is very good, very active. And our school staff, I mean, we don't need, my first statement was, I will contact the school district tomorrow and notify them. Well, staff from Interlochen Elementary School they contacted me and said, we're already on it, we're doing it. And so that just attests to how much our people love the kids they serve. Yes. And I just wanted to let the board know that, and you may be aware of it, Rick.
Yeah, I am, and I'll make sure our homeless office can address that as well.
And at some point, I mean, we got a lot. You're overwhelmed. You're being superintendent. I've been through what you're going through. You get yanked, you fly out of state, and you come back, and then you fly out of state, or you go to Orlando, and you can't really get your feet on the ground hardly. It's kind of, you know, if it wasn't for Thomas and Andy and some of them and Laura and all of them keeping you in line or up to snuff, it would be hard to evaluate just exactly who's on first and what's on second most days. But I would at some point like to have a board workshop just to update us on homeless children and what the services are that we have in the future.
Yeah.
Let's don't worry about it. You got enough between now and Thanksgiving. It's going to be tough. I'd wait till after that, and then we'll do.
Yeah, Courtney Carter, I'm sure can give us a lot of information on that.
People don't know. I mean, and then an update like on the meals that we served this summer and things that we've done, Rick. It just blows my mind. People have no idea.
If you give us a time frame, we can organize.
I'd say after Christmas, after first year.
Okay.
You know,
did you make a note of that?
You're going to be a blur, you know, for the next 60 days.
Right.
But other than that, I was excited about graduation rate. I'm excited about Mosley. I'm excited about a lot of things. I had someone the other day say, well, you know, the superintendent, he's probably just cooking the books on these graduation rates. I said, no, the state has very stringent standards on what is constituted as a high school graduate. And this was a naysayer, and I said, and you know, for your own information, it's going to mean at least $400,000 to $600,000 more in lifetime earnings for a child to have a high school diploma or its equivalent. And these kids are going to live better lives because of what the board and our employees are doing with them out there in this JAG program and stuff. Wonderful. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Buckles.
Okay, I would just like to reiterate thank you to GP and all that they've done, not only for our schools, but for our county. And we just all need to make sure that we tell them thank you when we see the individuals out. I had the opportunity to work under Tony Benford, and he's an extremely special person and a real motivator. Just being around him just motivates you. And I think when you put he and Sarah Jean together, that's a dynamic duo for sure. And it just blows my mind. Just thinking of all the work that they've done and what they were faced with going in, a lot of people would fold under that pressure, but not them. And so those kids at Mosley, those teachers, the parents, the one thing I think that we can take from this, every single school, is if you get those parents and those teachers and those students and your faculty to buy into what you're doing, you're going to be successful. And as administrators, you have to be motivators every single day to, and you have to be out in the community and be visible and be able to get on the terms, the same level as a parent, and understand the problems that they're faced with, and just know that they know you, respect them, and they're doing everything they can for their kid. But it's great, and I would have cried the whole entire time if I'd been Sarah Jane.
Well, they're missionaries. They're, like you say, they're missionaries.
Right,
They stand
exactly.
there and they're weeping because they love their kids.
Yes.
And Mr. Benford, he's a cheerleader missionary. I'm telling you, he's great.
He did a baccalaureate program for me when I was a senior class sponsor at Crescent City, and there wasn't a dry eye leaving that church, and I believe the church was ready to offer him a position. So, also, I did work on watch the insurance committee as they operated the 2 meetings in July, and there's a lot of really good collaboration going on there, and we know that we have to keep our teachers in Putnam, and we have to attract teachers to Putnam, and insurance is one of the route right there. If we can provide the insurance to compete with our surrounding counties, we have great kids and we have great administrators, and teachers will want to come to work here. So to me, this insurance, getting this going, is going to be really a real strong key for us. And just on a really positive note, it's less than a month till the first day of school. That's it.
All righty. Just thanks to Palatka Daily News for the coverage of all the great things that are happening in Putnam County. The article that just came out in today's paper. Kudos. It's just sending a message to those that have not heard that Putnam County is a force to be reckoned with. And we're doing some great things, and it's some great leadership. And I was gonna say, you're concerned about Mr. Cerency, Dr. Cerency, when he has to fly off. That's the sign of a great leader, when you have trained great people to work under you. You can go where you need to do and come back and things are done.
Yeah, but it's miserable when you're the superintendent. You have to, it sounds exotic to fly off and go out of state, but every time you turn that light out at night, it's the same. It's dark.
Well, he knows they're gonna take care of things. And then again, too, there's some things you just can't control, but to know that you have people in place that can address it until you get back, because you can't change it.
I drive
from where you are.
drive Thomas crazy, yeah.
Okay, the article on Jobs for Florida graduates and Kelly Fairclough being recognized, and our other teachers in that position, Mrs. Moats and the young lady from Interlochen High School, doing a fantastic job.
Lindsay Missamore.
All right, Miss them are great. Just warms my heart every time I see our schools and our children being put on the front page to counter some of the shootings and all the other things that we read about other places that makes our papers negative. And then to have the article that posted the grades. That's something. To have 5 schools that improved, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was Kelly Smith, Mosley Elementary, Brown and Pierce, and Putnam Virtual Schools, and I missed one, and Melrose, and Melrose. And then we have all the schools that maintain. To those administrators and staff and students and parents, we want you to know that we are pleased with your hard work. We realize that sometimes it does get hard, and it does seem as if it's redundant. You're going over the same thing. It becomes repetitious, but our children are growing, and our staff, they are putting forth the very best effort they have. And the key word is care. When people know that you care by going during pre-planning to their school to say to these 5 or 10, Mr. Buckles, that we appreciate you having.
I understand.
Okay, you got me? You feel me?
Yes, Sister Gilliard.
All right, just so you feel me. It does make a difference, and so we just appreciate all of that. I'm done.
Can't help but
Mr. Attorney.
All right, so I just wanted to let the board know today,
Good gracious, he sent us a big
law
stack.
firm of Morgan & Morgan sued the Department of Education for its best and brightest practices and how they were allocating funds to certain teachers.
Yeah.
It's an interesting read. If you would like to take a look at it, I just thought you might be interested and wanted to pass along. I have one from the superintendent too.
Thank you very much.
We'll be following that, and I'll keep you up to date if any new information becomes available about how that statute is interpreted and ruled upon in the courts.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Superintendent?
Yeah, let me make a clarification. Our budget meeting that we talked about is not on the 29th. It is on the 30th,
Okay.
July 30th. So do you want to meet prior to that meeting
Yes.
on the 30th?
Yes.
Is that okay? All right, so we'll meet 3:30 in the conference room and on the 30th. And then we'll follow that up with the budget meeting.
And the budget meeting will be at
5:05 right here.
5:05. Gotcha.
Right. And there is a meeting, the 23rd. You have that down? That's at 2. Okay, and I'll be in Orlando. So Ms. France will be filling in for me in that meeting, okay? Speaking of flying, we flew to Denver, I think I told you. Took our cybersecurity team out there and met and actually had a follow-up meeting today, and that went very well. Kind of talking about some plans on how we're going to implement that. So that was a very good meeting. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you've been to Denver, but it's very hard to breathe out there. The air is so thin, so I was ready to get back home. But we had a good time out there. Today we met with some of our new teachers, new hires. And these are both brand new teachers and teachers who have years of experience maybe in another district. And, and I met with them just to welcome them, make them feel home, and just talk about how much support we will give them, and with our novice teacher mentor program and all the stuff that's going on. I just said right now is the perfect time to start working in the Putnam County School District. Our board has given all of our employees a 3% raise. We're looking at what we can do to give them better health insurance coverage, which remains to be seen. And just so many things going on with our district is just really upticking. So it's just very pleasant to see people just so enthused to go to work with our kids. So looking forward to hiring more teachers too. We still have some vacancies. And the last thing I want to mention to you is last week on another trip to Orlando, attended the Jobs for American Graduates Conference. And as you know, the people who you mentioned were down there, but we also had some high school students and some graduates from Palatka High School who actually spoke to the audience, the national-wide audience, and told some really motivating stories, and some of it would bring tears to your eyes. Right. I had the opportunity to also speak to that group from all over the United States, and was very honored to do so. But I do want to pass this around. This is a plaque they presented to me. Again, it's about our school districts and not about me, but it just talks about the work that we have been doing as a district. And I'll just read a portion. It says, the Jobs for America graduates honors the students of Putnam County School District for their commitment to jobs for Florida graduates and their dedication to represent their hometown as a product of Putnam with dignity and honor. And it goes on and talks about us having increased our graduation rate 30 points over the last 3 years, which, as you know, is the number one in the state. That's being recognized across the nation. And kudos to y'all for your support. And those kids, it would make you very proud. Those kids are lining up for jobs. They're graduating on time. They're going to college. the stories would just floor you. So I have invited them to come to one of the August board meetings and actually give you a little more information about what they talked about. And I will let you know which meeting that is. But we also have them, and we had a livestock judging team from 4-H. These are all Putnam County students who won the state championship.
Wow.
We're going to have them come and honor them. Felicia, who am I forgetting?
I think they're in Nebraska now.
Thank you. Palaca Housing Authority had a group, again, Putnam County students
Yeah.
who competed at the state level for the spelling bee. So we're going to have them come and recognize them. So every opportunity we have to recognize students, we're going to bring them here and do so. So it's a great time to be in Putnam County.
Yes,
Rick, Sandy, can I ask him
Let me
one
pass that
question?
down if y'all want to look at it.
I've heard that DOE has taken over Florida Virtual Schools. Do you know if that's true or not?
Laura,
I haven't heard anything about it.
don't have any information about that.
Okay, well, Laura, would you check into that and let me know how that's going to impact how our students are served? If that's,
DOE takes up over FLVS.
that's correct.
Okay, yes, sir.
But I find that to be odd, but I heard it from a pretty fair source.
Okay? Yeah, we'll check on that for you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, that's all my comments.
Okay. If there is nothing else to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job.